Hi, this week we have two exciting webinars lined up for you. First is how we played sectors. In this session, I'll walk you through the sectoral strategies we've employed focusing on our calls in pharma, PSU and infrastructure. And the next one is human life value, your key to smart investment decisions. The webinar will delve into the concept of human life value and how it serves as a foundation for making informed insurance decisions. We look forward for your participation.
So new age investors also have this behavior to look for the next stock, next big stock, next theme. Have you ever felt the need to cover as many stocks as possible, or are you happy with your small universe?
No, when you're very young, you must feel like covering everything.
Okay,
It's very natural.
okay,
I don't think we should judge young investors so harshly
okay,
because they are exploring, they're having fun, right? But the problem starts when they start taking themselves too seriously, right? Like you're successful in one idea, you're successful in second or third idea. Then you start thinking that whatever you think is bound to be successful. That is one mistake that can happen when you go all over the place.
right.
So, that is where the new age investors may probably be erring. They are looking for recipes, formulas, right?
Right.
They want to formalize their life or their work. That's where investing doesn't support. So, you remember that some of the best research, equity research, came from new age investors in chemicals and specialty chemicals.
Right.
In terms of understanding of the business, in terms of understanding the dynamics of the business, in terms of describing the business to society, they did phenomenally well. But their conclusions or what they are trying to make as assumptions
Okay,
or where they are trying to direct conclusions
right.
was horribly wrong,
Okay,
right?
yeah,
So while I loved the thought process and the effort, I was not able to admire the conclusions.
okay,
And today, after time, you agree the conclusions or the nudges were wrong,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that we knew then itself when they're doing it. So sometimes the experience is bad because you can see it coming. Like a doctor knows when his patient is going down, right?
Yeah.
Because of experience. Investors also who have seen multiple cycles sometimes can tell you that something which a newbie is
Cannot
exaggerating
happen.
will not happen.
Right.
It's not that we are superior to the newbie, we are not,
Okay,
because we are all once newbie who turn into experienced people, but you know what will happen because of the past experience from the cycles. So that is the primary problem in this. So you must study multiple industries.
so it is okay to keep looking for the next
You should.
big stock.
I am of the view you should. I still look at new industries even today to understand and learn, or I understand and learn from those who look at new industries because that's a good way to cut the learning curve short. Because a younger person may be able to, do much more work, run around, read, talk to industry players, talk to
Right.
stakeholders. So all that is possible. But where they should not get carried away is in drawing conclusions hastily. So that is where I think experience helps. But it's absolutely essential that somebody should study number of industries and not restrict themselves to two or three industries. That era of investing is, in my opinion, over. You must be a generalist with some depth,
Okay.
not a specialist without breadth.
Have you ever thought that, okay, let me not say invest in pharma, I'll make my money without investing in pharma stocks at all? Have you ever worked like that or thought like that? Is there a need to think like that?
Historically, I have never done much investment in lending businesses.
Lending.
Yeah, lending is a business which I have not done much.
Okay.
Though we can argue that it's the simplest economic proxy, why would you want to stay out of it?
Stay on.
I think that underlying businesses and real businesses are better than businesses which thrive on financial income. That is my reading of lending. So lending is something which I have not done.
Okay.
But other than that, there could be businesses which we avoided for long spells of time, but not forever.
Right. And once you have identified a stock or a theme, how do you go about placing it in your portfolio in terms of buying pattern? Do you have a staggered approach, or do you go all in based on your conviction levels?
I think these businesses are going all in. I have been able to do it only where I am supported by intense research from past cycles. But let's say it's a new business, like we are looking at so many new businesses today, like semiconductor. I cannot go all in. I don't have the knowledge or the experience to go all in. So in such instances, we have to be slow only. You have to validate, and as you develop more conviction, you can possibly buy if you want. So that's a difficult choice most of the time. So this tendency to go all in will not work in businesses where there's no past data, no past experience. But even in such businesses, suppose the valuation goes to pathetic close, then you can buy.
Makes sense. So the first differentiation is in terms of your own understanding
Correct.
and past cycles. Second differentiation will be on valuation.
Correct.
And how do you place your stock within the portfolio in terms of portfolio weights and number of stocks within a portfolio?
I think you just give an entry position to a stock in a portfolio. It could be 2%,
Okay.
or even lower if you want. And from that, the company earns its position, the portfolio.
Okay. And do you also agree to this common thumb rule of 20 to 25 stocks in a portfolio? How do you look at
Broadly, it works well, I would say.
Okay.
Broadly, it works well.
Okay. So it makes sense for any new investor to follow that thumb rule.
See, I don't want to sermonize, but I can tell you that broadly it works well. A small set of companies, manageable set. But some people say I own only 5 stocks. That is extreme. And somebody says I own 80 stocks. That is also extreme.
Okay.
So I think moderation is very essential in these aspects. So I would think that owning 20 stocks is actually very good.
And once the stock is in your portfolio, how do you do the maintenance? Do you prefer meeting managements, be it interact with them in con calls or participate in AGMs? Is it mandatory to meet a management to stay invested or to maintain your conviction?
See, in the early years of my investing, I used to meet a lot of managements. We used to do a lot of field work. Once this market became jargonized, right?
Right.
Management started using the language which we like to hear.
Right.
So once that started, I felt the benefit or the merit of going to AGM diminishing.
Okay.
So if you ask me how many AGMs you attended in the last 5 years, I think broadly it is 0.
Wow.
I may have gone to some AGM out of courtesy to,
Right.
just greet the promoter or something like that. I mean, not with the intention of going and learning something in the AGM, nothing. Even that I don't think I have gone, but there could be one exception which I have even forgotten.
Okay.
So, broadly, I don't believe in going to these meetings personally, but I think that if you still get learning or experiences out of it, you can go. It's different for different people, right? So, it's very different.
What works for you?
Yeah, what works for you is very important. So, to my mind, meeting the management and going to AGMs, many instances never helped because you are the patsy in many situations. Because see, management wants you to believe something, so they use the platform and your eagerness very convincingly.
Okay. And in terms of idea maintenance, how hands-on are you? Do you run Excel models, or when was the last time you even had a Excel model?
Don't humiliate me. I have not done an Excel in over a decade.
Wow.
I have forgotten how to do Excel actually.
Okay.
I don't know Excel.
Okay. So, do you recommend investors to do the
No.
numbers hands-on?
I'm not going to tell you not to do anything.
Okay.
See, each person something has to work, right? So many people are masters of Excel, right? So I think that you do what suits you. It's simple as that. I don't do this kind of volume number crunching. Which I think a lot of chartered accountants use Excel to my mind, and MBAs use a lot of Excel. Is my reading. I have nothing against it. There is no judgment, but I feel that your clarity of thought is more valuable than Excel. The way you're able to see the future clearly is more valuable than Excel. The analysis of business is definitely more useful than Excel. In Excel, you put in the wrong numbers, it will give out wrong numbers, right? So,
yeah. And once you have bought into a stock, it doesn't perform well, it's falling despite you having high conviction. How do you react to such sort of scenarios where the capability is still intact?
see, where you buy, there will always be some sounding boards for every stock.
Okay.
I would be a sounding board for somebody else in a stock. Somebody else, a third person would be a sounding board to me in a stock. So these sounding boards are always there. They are like, when you see this Nadaswaram, the instrument, there's another guy who's just playing Ottu. He does only one note. Right?
Yeah.
He just plays along. Right? So the sounding board is very, very important.
Okay.
Right? So what do you do with the sounding board? You validate, you hear opposite views,
Got it.
you do all this.
Okay. So more than ideation, your network is more important when it comes to such drawdown scenario, when you face such drawdown
So
scenario.
what happens is you start with somebody and you also identify others who probably can give you the alternate view, devil's advocate. You keep talking to people continuously, the stock keeps coming down. You form your own judgments. Let's say stock you bought 100 rupees down to 40 rupees. This is something that happened many, many times in my experience. Many, many times. In all the companies where I've been successful, I have seen 1/3 at least drawdown and sometimes 60% drawdown.
Wow.
And I would have bought 3 to 4 times the original position which I aspired to buy, because between the starting point and the time when my conviction is peak at the bottom, around the bottom, I have discussed so much with discussion partners whom I call as sounding boards. And there will be devil's advocates, there will be supporting actors, there will be different types of sounding boards. So keep talking to people. It's a small circle, right? And there are people with very specific strengths, so you should go to them. Let's say I have a friend who's a expert in cap goods. I'll go to him to talk about cap goods. Another friend is an expert in new age businesses. Somebody else will be an expert in ER&D, engineering R&D. So you go to people who are subject matter experts. They could be investors, they could be analysts, they could be entrepreneurs, right? They could be professionals like CEOs. You keep talking to all of them. So when you throw it around, they educate you. And as you get educated, your conviction becomes clearer and clearer.
Stronger, in fact.
It becomes clearer. Sometimes you may feel that you are wrong also. No? That conviction can also grow in a situation. But you learn to deal with every situation. That's the beauty. So when a stock comes down, you need to have the conviction to act decisively, either to buy more or to get out. Right? To me, that is the most important thing that helps me to size a position. Most of the time, I would have increased the position size. Mostly.
And let's say the stock has played out. At what point do you decide to sell? It could be a buy and hold, or it could be a thematic stock. When do you decide to sell?
No, that's a difficult question. When the valuation becomes very high and then you see that this company, if purchased at a particular price, would make negative return or no return for long periods of time, that's when you typically sell. Having said that, a lot of sell decisions have gone wrong. In fact, the most humiliating thing an investor will constantly experience is the sell decision going wrong. The buy decision going wrong actually is far fewer for most of us. Because market likes to show you in bad light when your buy decision goes wrong. But I think where you see yourself is when your sell decision goes wrong. But market may not notice it because you have succeeded. You bought page for 400 and if you sold it at 800, market can still see at the time that you doubled.
Makes sense.
But you have missed a 100 bagger and settle for a two-bagger, right? So, as an investor, will you be able to forget it?
Correct.
I doubt it.
Got it. And have there been cases where you exited a stock and entered at a higher price much later, say a few years later?
Yes, because if you are investing across cycles, the stock which is sold in one cycle again will come back to you 2 cycles later.
Okay.
Right. So, my entire sugar trade
Okay.
would have been like that. The second and the third trade in sugar which I did.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, I would have sold something at 120 and bought it again at 200 and sold it again at 400.
Okay. So you don't have that baggage of no, I exited at
No, valuation only, no price.
Okay, perfect. And what is the longest you have held a stock in your entire investing career, and how important is this buy and hold for new investors?
See, I think if you are able to do buy and hold, your decisions become fewer. That is very, very advantageous. I think it's a very, very important thing for us. Right. And yeah, I would have owned a lot of stocks for 8-10 years.
8-10 years.
Especially in the last 15 years.
Wow. Okay. And because new investors have this behavior to churn and go for the next big thing, it would rather make sense to hold on to your winners for a bit more longer time.
Undoubtedly, you can hold on to your winners and let them run, because reinvestment risk is an emphasized problem.
Right. How important is patience? Is this possible to inculcate or practice patience?
I think patience comes if it's there, it shows up, otherwise it's not going to show up. It's all about your personality.
Right.
If I'm a highly impatient person, how can I suddenly turn into a patient person? I'm just asking you this question.
Difficult, yeah.
Maybe I can improve my patience,
Right.
but I can't become the epitome of patience. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a problem we'll have to live with. Our personalities are what they are. I mean, you can change yourself, but to some extent, you can't become a different person.
It was a fun freewheeling session with Shyam sir. If you liked and if you have any key takeaways, please leave your comments in the comment section below. Please stay tuned for more videos in this series.